Hello, my name is Fred. So this is for week 3 scenario videos on data security. And let's get right to it. This is where is studio. This is a studio, right? So uh, first of all, scenario 1, we are going to look at the questions that the owner has about the database security. One of the questions is, what is Windows authentication? The benefits of it over SQL authentication. For my research, I discovered that Windows authentication uses the user's Windows credentials, enhancing security by leveraging the domain policies like password complexities uh, and others, etc. Then SQL authentication requires separate credentials, and this is one of the disadvantages that increases administrative overhead. Then part B of the scenario is we are looking at authentication organization. Authentication verifies the user's identity, like the user name, password, and logins. Then authorization, it determines what resources the authenticated user can access. Like, for example, what we looked at in the stepping stone, we created Nathan the intern. Yeah, created Nathan the intern. We created Nathan the intern. And we saw that we gave him his authentication was via the SQL login. But then we also limited his access to read only in the sales orders database. Yeah, we restricted access to specific schemas within the use cases schemas within the sales order. And then this is code for verifying the mode that we're in, the authentication mode that we're in, for which when we began this course, I selected both mixed. It's a mixed Windows and SQL server authentication. And then part D is that on granting select to public roles, we want to look at the risks and implications here. So granting selected permissions to the public roles, public role allows all users, including teacher ones, to access the data. This is very dangerous. It exposes sensitive data. And the best practice is to assign permission to roles or specific users explicitly. And then scenario 2 is where to create schema creations and user mappings. So we create these schemas for bowling and recipe database. So that is our code for creating the schemas. Those are the two schemas that I created for the bowling example. Then the recipes example, I created that recipe data and ingredient data. Then here we're transferring tables to the newly created schemas. Okay, so these are the tables. We alter the schema. Then we are transferring these tables to the newly created schema, which is member data. The same applies to game schemas. We are transferring that data, those tables to the newly created schemas. Same for the recipes. Yeah. So if we go right to the database, let's refresh and see what we have here. Body, we had an effect on that database. So we got look at the tables. We have right here. These have been altered and transferred. And then same for the recipes. Same for the recipes example tables. We have all that proof there. And then we are asked to create a new logins and assign the schema specific permissions. The bowling league, we created these two logins, which is Bola 1 and Bola 2. So if we go to user security, then we look at the users here. We will see the logins created there. Then we are mapping the schemas. So we said Bola 1, take the member data schema. Bola 2, take the game data schema. And then we are creating also these two logins for the SAP examples, which is Chef 1 and Chef 2, and those are the passwords. Then, of course, we are signing this to a recipe data schema, the Chef 1. Chef 2, we are assigning it to the ingredient data schema. That is that. Then scenario 3 is we are looking at the DCLs, grants to assign future users. So I took out the entertainment as the example. So created the logins, which is our performer J. Then I also created so performer J. I granted I created the login performer J, created the user. Then I granted necessary permissions. Of course, I revoked the delete. There's some permissions I revoked for that user. And then, of course, part B is where we have to become smarter. We just alter the role. So here we assign the user to the DB role and update their permissions, right? So we're altering the role here. Then we add the member performer J. Then we revoke, of course, these two other permissions. We give it limited access. So we are creating another login here. There's Professor Alex, Performer Alex and Professor Blake. And then we assign them the roles. This is the part where we get smarter. We assign them to the DB role. They inherit the permission which the first performer we had created. And then the last part of the scenario was we have to show evidence of what created. So for example, now if I go to, let me log in Professor J. Let's log in Professor J. We need SQL here. Let Professor J. So if we connect this and we try and access another database apart from what we have been mapped to, like for example, if we go to sports schedule, we can't access that database, right? It is either that we can't access it. It's on the entertainment that it was mapped to that cannot access. Despite having access, it has also limited access to it. It can't do everything. Let's try and select, because we had given it a data reader role. Let's try and select this role and see what it brings. See if it can perform some tasks there. Yeah, perfect. So it can read the data. Can't delete, can't update. It has restricted access to it. So on the other part, which is we are going to prove, we have to prove what we have done, what the things that we did. So I'll run this. I'll run this queries. This is what we did in week 2. So it's good to redo it again. So let's execute this. This is what you have. So this is what we have. We have the baller Chef1, Chef2. You have performer J, performer Alex. These are the logins. You have the logins there. Then the schemas. Schemas we have here, right? There's a recipe data, ingredient data. Okay. Then we also have another schema here. So there's member data and game data schemas. Then when we look at this other parts, yeah, we're looking at the other information, when it was created and all that. And then part B, it says that any useful DB database securities that we can look into is, I said, let's select and see the system remote logins. I think this is useful because remote logins are critical to monitor potential unauthorized access and suspicious activities. So let's run this query and we'll see what happens. So as we can see that there's no any other login that is suspicious. So that is it for for the week 3 assignment. Thank you for listening. Bye.